When you put in two big bids to the same pot of money, when you put in as a council, as a local authority, ignore the fact there was two constituencies, that's by the by. When you put in two big bids as the same council, during times like this, and you're one of the few councils in the Northwest and Greater Manchester to get one bid over the line, there was never a chance of you getting both bids over the line. The Northern Roots nonsense, which is some fake liberal South Manchester elite-led project enforced on the people of this town, which is why you've got nonsense like glamping in Glodwick and skinny dipping in the Snipe. They should have put one bid in. If I was working for them, I would have told them to put one bid in. It's basic risk management. Which one do we need more? Which one does the people of our town need more? Which one has history, heritage, and thousands of our children access every year, albeit in a small window? Which one? It's the theatre. Every time it's the theatre. Yet they put two bids in. They were never going to get both bids. They knew what they were doing. Emma Barton and her team at Oldham Council, Amanda Chadderton, who signed this off, they knew what they were doing. They were selling you out. It feels like we're being punished for being in the north. What losing Oldham Coliseum will mean for us. You can see the headline from Charlotte Green. She's brought her mate with her, Jenna Campbell, the What's On editor. Neither from Oldham. It feels like we're being punished for being in the north. Well, how many of you South Manchester scumbags have been to the Coliseum? See, we're just a football, a pawn in the fake liberal Labour Party game in the fight against the Tories. We, the working class people of our town, are just a pawn in their game. It feels like we're being punished. Who's we? You're not we. And as the Arts Council has already demonstrated, the £1.8 million is there, it is ring-fenced. But what's the truth got to do with any of this when it comes to Charlotte Green and her mates? Personally, it's been horrific. And it's something that will sit with me for the rest of my life. Chris Lawson, Oldham Coliseum's artistic director. Not very good at being an artistic director, you mate, if you've overseen that decision to cancel the theatre's season. It's a grey, blustery Wednesday afternoon in Oldham Town Centre. Actually, I was in Oldham on Wednesday afternoon, and it wasn't a grey, blustery Wednesday afternoon, so I don't know what nonsense they're going on about. But despite the miserable weather, Heather Tompkin is out and about, making a beeline for the Oldham Coliseum to buy tickets for the last shows before they stop from the end of March. This week, the Fairbottom Street Theatre, which in its 135th year history has helped launch the careers of countless Northern stars, announced it will be cancelling all upcoming shows after losing its entire Art Council England funding, despite the fact the town is supposed to be one of the priority levelling up culture areas. Do you see how they're twisting the truth? The £1.8 million is still there, just giving it to the Coliseum is no longer in the interests of anyone other than those who want to use it as a political tool. Apparently it lost its subsidy in a funding shake-up announced in November. With a funding gap of almost £2 million, the theatre says its current financial situation is not sustainable. So you've got it there, November. I want to get to that, November. It goes on to say how it got lots of applications, tries to hint it was competitive, but here we go. Nonetheless, ACE says it has set aside £1.8 million. £1.84 million was unsuccessful. Nonetheless, ACE says it has set aside £1.8 million for the arts in Oldham, just not for the Coliseum. What does that say? It says it's a badly managed organisation that can't be trusted with the money. Chris Lawson, the artistic director, directly being quoted. I think the overarching priority is what does arts and culture look like in Oldham going forward. And where does the Coliseum sit within that? Well, you know exactly where, mate. You're not getting that £1.8 million, is the Arts Council's intention. You might get some of it, well, they go crying and screaming. But you shouldn't get any of it. Not with 6 trustees, of which 2 of them are councillors, and no form of accountability with the local community. Just who do you not think you are? You should just be giving the money. The Arts Council have been highly praising our work in the community and our work on stage. Okay, let's pause for that for 1 second. If the Arts Council have been highly praising your work in the community and on stage, there's only 3 elements to an organisation when decisions are being made about funding and there's money there. If your work's okay, then the second element is your work financially sustainable, which it isn't. And there's an argument for the Arts Council to step in and subsidise that for the cultural offer, and they are doing, by saying there's still £1.8 million available in Oldham. But they're refusing to give it to you. That's because your governance is shit. Your governance is out of order, with 6 trustees and 2 councillors, and a failed again attempt to move into a new building. Your governance is out of order. That's what they're saying, isn't it? The timing of the announcement this week coincides with a decision by government last month to award its second round of levelling up funding to local authorities, while Oldham successfully secured £20 million for a new green technology network. A second bid for culture and creative improvement district, including a new theatre, was unsuccessful. Do you see it there? My point exactly. Why put in 2 bids, you... Emma Barton and her team. If the cultural offer meant so much, why put in 2 bids? Why put in 2 bids that will compete with each other in Oldham? I don't care about Northern Roots. I doubt anyone in Oldham does care about Northern Roots and their £20 million and this green technology network nonsense. Why not just put in the 1 bid and get the money? Because you wanted this. They wanted this. They knew by putting up one next to the other, one would lose out, and most likely this one would lose out. The council were complicit in sabotaging the future of the Coliseum and the cultural offer in this town. The council were complicit. Speaking on the latest developments, council leader Amanda Chadderton said they had been in almost daily contact with the theatre. Who at the theatre? Sam Al-Hamdani and Barbara Brownridge? As though the theatre is a separate entity. Whilst this news is a huge blow, this will not be the end of theatre in Oldham, and Oldham Council remains absolutely committed to arts and theatre in the borough, she said. How? Oldham's 2 MPs, Brother Jamal and Debbie Kashmir, are also throwing their support behind the theatre. The Oldham Coliseum is an important social and economic treasure for Oldham and beyond. How is it an economic treasure? It's dependent on a grant, you pillock. Does he understand any of the words that come out of his mouth? That's why it's so disappointing and baffling that ACE, the Arts Council England, have decided to withhold this funding from an area like Oldham. That is a levelling up area for culture, and choose to put a theatre that has been at the heart of Oldham for 135 years into turmoil. He's claiming the Arts Council England have decided to withhold this funding from an area like Oldham. That is a complete lie. He's either too stupid to understand what Arts Council England have said, or he just wants to use it as a political football irrespective of what they've said. The £1.8 million has been ring-fenced for Oldham, just not with the Coliseum Theatre. In part because of the council's failure to progress with finding the Coliseum a new home and blowing millions of pounds of public money in the process of one failed attempt after another. Arts Council England has not decided to withhold funding from Oldham. Have they? Jim McMahon, Debbie Abrams tweeted. She was devastated by the news of the cancellations. And it showed that the government's endless talk about levelling up is just hot air. Arts Council England are an independent body. The decisions they make are not made in Westminster by government ministers. And to suggest that either shows how little she understands of the governance structure of Arts Council England and the way in which decisions are made, or it shows how she also is simply trying to use this for political benefit. I don't think either Jim McMahon or Debbie Abrams actually really care about the future of the Coliseum. Do you? Commenting on the theatre's cancellation of its shows, the Arts Council England spokesperson said, "We appreciate how difficult it has been for the team at Oldham Coliseum to come to a decision to cancel forthcoming events and how unsettling this must be for the staff and all those who work with the theatre, as well as how disappointing this is for audiences. The Arts Council is committed to supporting performing arts in Oldham, which hugely benefits the local community. We'll continue to work together with the theatre and Oldham Council over the coming weeks on future plans. We are maintaining our investment in the town and have ring-fenced £1.845 million for Oldham over the next 3 years and are working with the council as they pursue their ambitions to develop a new performing space for the town." So as well as ring-fencing £1.845 million, as well as ring-fencing the best part of £2 million that they want the council to help them decide how and where it goes, other than the theatre, they are still, after everything that's gone on, the Arts Council are still willing and wanting to work with the council in finding a new theatre space for the town. A fit-for-purpose theatre space. Do they sound like the bad guys in this? On whether the £1.8 million the Arts Council allocated towards culture in Oldham could be used to support the Coliseum in a new venue, the spokesperson said, "We have ring-fenced this money specifically to be applied for by Oldham Council and are in discussion with them about a programme of cultural activity that will be supported over the next 3 years." So that answer is no. They want to spend £1.8 million on cultural activity that isn't the Coliseum. Indeed, Nikki. The Arts Council decision sounds entirely reasonable. Yes, Pauline. It does sound like the Arts Council want something for Oldham but don't want to be throwing good money after bad where the Coliseum is concerned. You know it's Oldham Council who's wrong in this. Indeed, so in Italian words, develop their ambition. So after over 10 years of dilly-dallying, Oldham Council is planning a new performance space in Oldham, which is supported with investment from the government's Towns Fund, and these plans are still in development. Why would they commit after they'd failed and failed again? Mayor Andy Burnham also weighed in on the issue, telling BBC Radio Manchester that the Coliseum's plight was a really sad story. Yes, because of the poor governance, Burnham. He said it's not strictly levelling up funding. No, it's not strictly, because it's not at all levelling up funding. But it is a levelling up issue, because if you take venues like that out of our northern towns, you take the heartbeat out of them in the end. I'm not going to disagree with that. But it's not a heartbeat, is it? Because for so long, it's been pandering to an elite, losing money and trying to subsidise it with 3 months of pantomimes. Oldham Council are committed to a theatre in Oldham. They don't run the Coliseum, so it's a difficult position for them. That's nonsense. To all extents and purposes, the Coliseum is run by the council, isn't it? We do give out culture grants. We're one of the city regions that spends most on culture because we know it brings life to places like Oldham. So how much are you going to give to Oldham? And how much are you committing? Nothing. Do you see? We've got to commit to ensure that Oldham has a theatre. The bottom line is that as far as I'm concerned. So how much are you committing? Come on, the £600,000 short. How much are you committing? I've already found you £600,000. Commit some more. Maybe keep the Deputy Chief Executive and just get rid of Elizabeth Drogan and Jenny Harvey. You think I'm joking? I'm not, because all of this is the same. It's about one poor decision after another, spending a penny in the wrong place, spending £1 in the wrong space, spending 10,000, 100,000, bidding for 2 pots of money. One at Northern Roots and this green scheme nonsense. Green economy apparently we're building in Oldham. Bullshit. These people have taken you for a fool. Taking you for fools, and they're continuing to take you for fools. The only way that Coliseum should survive is if the governance is completely revamped to be better representative of the town, provide a cultural offer fit and relevant to the people of the town, serve the town more effectively in its outreach, diversify its income stream, cut its cloth accordingly, and for many of us, commit to staying on the site and building a theatre that looks the part and is in keeping with what we consider to be theatres and not these stupid places that have no culture or heritage in them. Of course, the Coliseum knew in November that they were having their funding cut. They've still took tens, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, maybe 100,000, I'm not sure. They took a substantial amount of money in bookings, knowing full well, it's clear to, I think it's very clear to all of us, knowing full well that without the Arts Council £600,000, they would not be able to deliver anything in April, May, June, or never mind Sleeping Beauty at Christmas. For all of you who continue to sponsor me, thank you very, very, very much. I'm extremely grateful. And for those of you who subscribe to the webpage, the £1, the £3, it's how I budget. So I'm thankful to you as well. A very good evening.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.